Alex Perez knocking out Matheus Nicolau was quite a surprise. Both guys looked pretty good out there. Completely different kind of styles where Alex Perez is looking to barrage him with combinations, ripping to the body, going to the head with looping punches. Matheus Nicolau was more of a patient sniper looking for the one big moment where he can find the right overhand counter or the left hook. But where Alex Perez messed up Nicolau was using the lead hand feint constantly throughout the fight. He was faking the jab, pumping it out there the entire fight. And this does a couple different things. Number one, the activity off that lead hand is going to cause Nicolau to back up, so the pressure is going to be on Perez's side. That's going to limit Nicolau's attacks to mostly counters. The other important thing about the feint was the location on where he was throwing it. So when he was far away from Nicolau, he would just throw it forward right in front of him. This is mostly used from the pressure and getting closer, also back up Nicolau. But if he did get closer, he would throw it at the right hand of Nicolau, that power hand, and what that's doing is it's going to occupy it. It allows him to focus more so on the left hand of Nicolau as the right hand is occupied from being used for split seconds, limiting Matheus Nicolau's attacks even more, where the right straight is going to be harder to land unless he backs up and then throws it, which is actually what he was doing for his overhand. But here's the thing, if Perez was not faking with that jab, he would free up Nicolau's attacks, especially that right straight of his, and he cannot let that happen. Nicolau has an amazing right straight. It's very fast. He shoots it down the center with very little telegraph. But the reason why you only saw it like 2 or 3 times throughout the fight was because Perez was constantly pumping out that jab at that right hand, barricading the right straight from coming through, and he had to resort into an overhand instead. But it's not only a defensive measure to watch out for the attacks from Matheus Nicolau, it was mostly used for an offensive weapon, throwing that jab at the power hand and then blitzing in behind it or throwing a combination for a quote-unquote safer entry. He'll be able to land a leg kick off of that or put together a combination with his punches. But the funny thing about that was, jabbing at the power hand like that is supposed to limit it and allow you to see it easier when the opponent is looking to punch over it, making it a big looping punch. But even still, Alex Perez was getting caught by it up until like midway in the second round. It shows the speed of Matheus Nicolau. It shows his ability to precisely land that punch over the guard, even with that left feint obstacle in the way. This happened a few times throughout the fight, but then in the middle of the second round, Perez was able to see them coming and duck under that overhand and even counter Nicolau with his own. So he started to get the hang of it, and once he got that right hand down, it was over for Nicolau. That was the main weapon in the fight that was being successful, and as soon as it stopped working, it was over and he eventually got knocked out, because he was also trying to throw that right hand when he got backed up to the fence from the blitz of Perez, which was a huge mistake, and it goes to show you that Nicolau was really banking on that right hand. His jabs are getting through sometimes, but they're only landing at the very end of it. Perez doing a good job of not getting hit clean by the left hand as he was focusing more of his attention on that as he was occupying the right hand. This is why all the left hooks were missing, which is one of Nicolau's best attacks. The jab wasn't really landing too meaningfully. There was that one body shot from Nicolau, which was an excellent punch, where Perez actually committed this time. He was a bit on the back foot. He threw a committed jab, not as a feint this time, but Nicolau was able to slip on the inside of it with his head, moving it to the left, catching it with his right hand, and then countering him by ripping a left uppercut to the body, as Perez misses his own body shot and looks for a left hook over the top. But the thing about Nicolau is he held his right hand up to his head, fundamental boxing defense, and blocks the follow-up punch from Alex Perez. But like I was mentioning in the knockout sequence, he was just banking on that right hand mostly, and when he got backed up, Perez pumps that jab at the right hand of Nicolau, occupying it once again. He goes and throws the right hook, but he pulls on it at the end of it so he can retract it fast enough to follow up and cut off Nicolau. He was looking to cut off his movement. He throws his right hand to the side, but grabs onto the shoulder, guiding himself to continue to cut off Nicolau, and it gets the reaction of the Philly shell out of Nicolau, and Perez tries to get through the opening over the shoulder with his right overhand, but it still gets blocked. He follows it up with a winging left haymaker, which also gets blocked, and that's where Nicolau made the grave mistake on trying to punch with Perez in that moment, as he backed himself up all the way to the fence, looking for his own right hand, and when that happens, he's turning his head to the left, drawing momentum for his right hand, but that causes his head to rotate into the short right hook of Perez, magnifying the damage, getting him knocked out. If he didn't throw the right hand here, it could have been a whole different story, but here's the other thing though. When he got backed up to the fence, his stance squared up, and Perez looking for that opening past that left shoulder right on the chin. Nicolau could have shoulder rolled with it, but it's a game of inches, and that's all she wrote. One big shot from Alex Perez puts him out. But Nicolau would try some different ways in order to counter this. For example, he would just back up and throw the right overhand, and sometimes Perez would just walk into it. But there was something more creative from Nicolau as well. He would fake like he's going to throw the overhand, as he does expect a reaction out of Perez. This gets Perez to back away and pick his hands up, as Nicolau is following through, switching stances into southpaw and moving along to his own right side, fading away on that direction while throwing the left straight, which is going to split the guard down the center and get right to the head of Perez. Because he was fading out to the right side, it's going to give him that angle so he could shoot down the left straight and connect. Really good stuff from Nicolau right there, but there's a lot of other stuff in this fight as well. Perez was on point with the feints from Nicolau. So for an example, Nicolau gave him a hip feint like he's going to throw a kick. The first time he does it, he gets a reaction out of Perez, thinking that a leg kick was going to come, so he brings his front foot backwards. Look how Perez is in his stance as he's pumping out that jab as always. The hip feint causes that leg to move backwards. Now here, Nicolau does it again, but Perez capitalizes on the feint and throws the right overhand because Nicolau stations himself in position for a split second, allowing Perez to put together a combination forward as Nicolau is forced to block it. Or there were times where Nicolau was faking with the jab just like Perez was, but you can't trick the master in a sense. Perez was easily able to counter those with leg kicks, which is pretty funny because that was the recipe, that was the answer to these feints from Alex Perez, but Nicolau barely went to it. But there were different reasons for Nicolau feinting as well. For an example, like he would get backed up a lot in the fight, right? So he would actually feint forward to just get Perez off of him, to take off some of that pressure and give himself some more breathing space as Perez was constantly looking to cut him off. And another weapon he would use for this reason was the body jab. Body jabs are so useful. I'm happy to see more fighters using it, and it was working against Alex Perez. But Nicolau only threw like 2 in the fight. There was also that one front kick from Alex Perez. He goes and throws it, but almost hits the target as Nicolau leans forward, brings his legs and body back as he thought that it was going to come to the body or to the legs. Another time Alex Perez throws it, Nicolau adjusts to it. He parries it with his left hand to the side so it goes inward, allowing Nicolau's entire body to be on the outside of that, lining up his right straight and left hook as Alex Perez plants himself. Can't really move anywhere because his leg is up in the air like that. It gets caught clean by that left hook. And all of the blitzes before the knockout from Alex Perez were really mainly to just line up that big body shot. Almost every single punch did not land except the body shots, and there was a moment in the second round where he was able to land an uppercut. So he starts it by doing the same thing as always, pumping that jab at the power hand of Nicolau, occupying it, and he blitzes right behind that jab. He hops forward, back foot touches the ground first before his front foot, planting himself with the right straight as it gets blocked, and he starts shifting into the parallel stance for the left hook that also gets blocked. But notice where he's putting his head, on the outside of Nicolau's left hand, giving him that perfect angle for the right uppercut straight up the center onto the chin of Nicolau. Good stuff from Alex Perez, man. And that's ultimately the end of the breakdown, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to give this a like, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Man, that was kind of surprising seeing Alex Perez get a knockout like that against Nicolau, because Nicolau has always been a very clean striker, good technique, good form. It might be that Nicolau's chin is quite questionable, but the way that he got hit, it just amplified the power of that right hook. Turning the head into any punch is going to cause damage. Like when Yoel Romero fought Paulo Costa. When Romero got dropped by the left hook, he turned his head right into it because he was throwing his own, just like Matheus Nicolau did here against Alex Perez. So the flyweight division is getting quite interesting, and that was a pretty crazy card, man. Really fun.